Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin, principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Atty Bruggemann. She is a partner at Gallet Dreyer Berkey in New York City, and Atty practices matrimonial and family law with a particular focus on high-stakes matrimonial cases. Welcome, Atty.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
So, Atty, tell us what brought you to the law.
I did not want to be a lawyer, truth be told. I was in the oil business to start with my father, and he said, I want you to do anything but this. So I'll pay for law school. You go. If you like it, great. If you don't, great too. But so he sent me to law school, and I took a family law class, and that's where I decided that I was going to be a divorce lawyer because I applied for an internship with a matrimonial judge, and I was the only applicant. So my teacher, or my professor rather, said, you got the internship, congratulations, you were the only applicant. Nobody else wanted to go into this area of the law. So I did that internship, and I met so many great lawyers in the matrimonial bar that summer that I actually started working for some of them, and I never got out of it. So it sucked me in, and it's kept me to this day.
Got it. And so hold on, going back to the oil business, did you grow up in the tri-state area, and how does one go into the oil business? We're not talking oil drilling, are we?
No, my grandfather was in World War II, and he was an oil broker for the U.S. Army. And he came back, and when he finished his time in the Army, said, I can do this, on the civil side of things rather than for the government. So he started an oil brokerage firm, basically like a real estate broker, but you're brokering barrels of oil. And he started that. My dad took over for him. And then my dad wanted somebody to come in, but he didn't necessarily want his daughter. He wanted his son. My brother wanted no part of it. So I started there with him, but he said, you're destined for bigger and better things. And so gave me the opportunity.
Got it. And fast forward, you have this internship, and you begin down this path of matrimonial law. When we first started chatting today, full disclosure, we have done business in the past. As you start to, as your career evolves, you have these incredible stories that creep up. Do you want to share one of them with everybody?
Sure. I think a lot of our clients as matrimonial lawyers, you're seeing them in the toughest time of their lives. And you're dealing with the two things that are most important to them, their children and their money. And so many times when you have these clients, there's so many emotions wrapped up in what typically, in the law is a business transaction. But in this area, it's not. It's dealing with a lot more. And so I think in my practice, and what I try to do in my practice, is to take care of each one of the clients and really I do believe that matrimonial lawyers are in the service business, and that we have a duty to serve our clients and do it in the best way that we can. But while you're doing that, because there are so many emotions involved, people trust you with things that they wouldn't otherwise trust their parents, their siblings, their best friends, or even their therapists. I mean, I've had clients say to me, listen, I haven't even told my therapist this, but I know you won't judge me. So in full disclosure, spill my guts to you. And I think that part of gaining trust with clients and being that person for them that they can't tell this kind of thing to anybody else, maybe in the whole world, to me is really what this business is about. Of course, it's about getting justice and doing the right thing and getting a good result for your client. But it's also about helping people through a really tough time. And I think that matrimonial lawyers, most of us, do a great job at that. And it really is part of the practice. And it really is part of this side of the law, the client-centric focus. And I think it has to be.
And so that concept of lawyer as therapist, Certainly you don't go that far, but this concept of trust, that's a really big part of what you do.
Right. And I often say to my clients, there's therapists that are far cheaper than I am, and much more capable of giving you real guidance. But, sometimes people really do just need an ear and someone to listen, and not to say, well, you should do this, or I told you should have never married him, or you baby those kids. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear, I understand, I've heard what you're going through, and sometimes it's just that venting, but that's really, I think, how you gain trust. And when you come up with a real practical solution for them, it's much different than therapy, where therapists say, well, what do you think you should do? I'm telling you what you should do, and you're paying me for that advice. And I think that's really powerful to people in the situation that they're going through.
How does that change the outcome of the case?
It's different for each client, but I think the more you know, because matrimonial law is really about telling a story, to the judge, to the court, to tell the story, to get the narrative out. And the more that you know about the client, you're able to not only tell that story and create the narrative and create your trial strategy, but you're also able to focus on the client and how they're going to take particular news or how they're going to react to certain things that happen as the case evolves. So I think in getting to know clients, and developing a strategy as a litigator, as a matrimonial litigator, the more you know about your client, the better off you are. So in order to get that information from the client, you really do have to build that trust.
Mm-hmm. And is your practice limited strictly to litigation? Do you do any collaborative work? Do you do mediation? What does that look like?
I don't do collaborative or mediation, although I'm in the process of taking a mediation class, and I think it's fascinating. I think it really is the next, I don't want to say frontier, but it's the next part of this that really should be looked into more by more people. I think it's really a valuable tool, but when that doesn't work, I'm here to litigate for you.
And what do you recommend to folks who, you said you have so much respect for so many in the matrimonial bar, which certainly excludes some who may not have the same sort of, goals as you. What do you recommend to clients that may have counsel that is just not the right fit, or they don't feel like the counsel is working in their best interest? What do you recommend they do?
So I think choosing a matrimonial lawyer is much different than choosing a real estate lawyer to close on your house or a transactional lawyer to help you establish a business, because of everything that we talked about the deep details, the emotional part of it. You really have to interview people and not just buy the first person that you see, but or jump in with the first person that you interview. I think you really do have to take time. And there are lawyers who will give you red flags in the first, meeting, or they will, if you hire them, they will not return your phone calls or not return your emails or brush you off. And there are lawyers who are quantity, matrimonial lawyers, and there are lawyers who are quality. And not to say that lawyers who do a lot of cases aren't quality lawyers, but I think you really have to find someone who's willing to give your case the time it deserves. And that you're looking for. If you just want a quick divorce, by all means. But if it's really complicated things, especially with children, I think you have to be very careful and not just jumping at the first person that you meet.
Mm-hmm. Again, thanks to my guest, Atty Bruggemann. She is a partner at Gallet Dreyer Berkey in New York City. Atty, can you provide our audience with your contact information twice, please?
Sure. As Andrew said, I'm at Gallet Dreyer Berkey, LLP in New York City. My email is akb@gdblaw. Again, akb@gdblaw. And we're at Gallet Dreyer Berkey is gdblaw.com.
Got it. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. If you're an attorney or know one that does go above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us at 914-666-6600, 914-666-6600. Atty, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Andrew.